Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel and welcome to my full game review on Phantom Brigade. I've been playing this game for the last couple of days now and I've been enjoying myself. I wanted to try a new turn-based tactical game that has recently come out in Steam. I think it was the 3rd of March. And overall, I really like it. In this review, I want to talk to you about a few aspects. One, the basic gameplay loop, which will be the first section. The second section will be unit customization and things that you need to think about on how you use your Mech Customization tool. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about the overworld, how that works, and some of the things I found that really helped me make the game a bit easier, because my first one run through was really hard. I tried to do everything with 2 mechs, and then I figured out, I started again and then figured out how to expand to 4 mechs, which I did immediately, and it made the early game a lot smoother. So without further ado, let's get into Phantom Brigade and I'll tell you what I think about it. Okay guys, so let's talk about in the game itself. So we're doing a level here, assaulting a base, trying to capture a province, so it's one of the more difficult levels. I've got 4 mechs now, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've given them orders. Now, just like any other turn-based strategy or tactical game, you get your units, you move them on the battlefield, and the unique aspect that Phantom Brigade brings is you can see into the future, and as you can see, in 5-second chunks. So each round lasts 5 seconds of real time, and you plan for that 5 seconds. And as you can see, the red icons, or the red units moving around, that's the predicted enemy movement, and you can plan to that. And obviously, if you move your units around, it changes slightly, but that's how it works. On the map here, you've got your units, enemy units, and if you have ally units, the green ones will appear. That should happen in the next turn. Any units you have selected are down here in the bottom left, and any objectives are here in the top right. What I like about this, and I'll show in a second, is units have 4, I guess, sections. So your body, which is where your pilot lives, your legs, and if they get destroyed you essentially crash. You can still stand up, but you can't really move around. Your left arm and your right arm, okay? And each one of those can get destroyed separately depending on where you're taking hits from. Just because you've lost your legs, although you can still like limp around, but your movement is like well and truly reduced, like to 10% of what you probably could normally do. But you can still fight on, and I've won many a clutch game by shooting an enemy with someone who's been laying on or standing there, can't really move, and just winning. So it does add a fairly unique, exciting dynamic to that. Just because you've lost an arm doesn't mean you're out of the battle. Alright, so let's give it a turn. So this guy, I'm running over here. Oh, you can see here in a yellow circle. That means a collision, and if that happens, you essentially stumble and it takes a couple of seconds for you to right yourself. So you essentially miss out on a whole bunch of turns. So I'm gonna have to cancel that movement. So I'll do that here. Alright, so I'm gonna have to move. So I'll move here. No, move there, and then move to there. Okay, now down here is your movement. This is the 5-second time. The bottom line is your movement. So you're waiting and you're running. Your actions being your attack, your shield, there's a few others, will go on the top row, and things like dash will take up both slots. So you can move and shoot at the same time. Obviously your accuracy is reduced, but this is where you plan all your movements out. Okay, let's see if we've got any more. No, that's good. Alright, let's see what happens. Go. Shooting some missiles. Shield up. Buildings are destructible. Home guard, some reinforcements from the local guys have come in. You can see here my units. And that's where they're going to land in the time. And they'll be able to do something over here. Now, reinforcements you can control themselves, but they also have an AI that moves them around for you, but you just got to check out what happens. Alright, let's see what's going on with this guy. So he's taken a bit of hit to his right arm. My guys, they're good. He's good. He's good. He's good. Alright. Last thing I want to talk about all the UI is, whilst you've got your arms, you've also got shields, and you can see here, barrier it's called. So that's like a shield. And that is recharged by liquid fix, which is essentially just a unit that is used to fix things. Hence liquid fix, pretty self-explanatory. So you can regenerate that over time if you don't take hits. So you might have a module that has 500 armor, which just means you can take up to 500 damage. Or you might have something like 173 armor and 128 damage. So that might be, you know, 300 in total. But the good thing about that is it can regenerate over time if you're not taking hits. So you can withdraw a unit to recover some of that armor, where if you don't have any barrier, you just have like this guy here, he will just take damage, stock standard damage, and cannot repair it in game. Alright, so I'll do some planning and I'll fast forward to the next round and we'll see what happens. Okay, next round, let's see what happens. Focus on this guy here. Take some damage. Yep. Alright, not bad. Okay, so I'm a little bit further into the game, so these guys are a bit chonky. Having something like 800 armor is pretty high. So it'll take a little bit longer to whittle down, but let's see what we can do. Alright, let's skip to the next turn. Alright, next turn. I want to highlight something before we move. You can see down here in the center bottom of the screen a red thermostat. That means you're overheating. So everything, heat management is actually pretty critical in this game, and it took me a while to realise that, because every time you're overheating, you are taking damage. And I have been killing my own units. So well, I can't do anything about that. I've been killing my own units through heat. So you don't want to do that. And some weapons cause heat. So heat management is pretty critical so you don't blow up. You can't just go shoot, 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 dash, dash, dash. You will just generate heat. So here's a dash. I said it would take up both your action and your movement. And essentially that's like your thrusters, if your armor has thrusters, and it'll boost you out of the way. You can use that to dodge missiles and stuff like that, or reposition quickly. Alright, let's see what happens here. Let's focus on... Who am I shooting at? This guy. Let's just focus on this guy, see what happens. Alright, let's go. Pow! Okay, you can see this guy's lost an arm. Somewhere. Where'd it go? There it is. So whatever's in that arm can't be used, and I think it is a shield. Doesn't matter. But you can see now here, or if you click on the enemy, it shows you what the next planned move. So he's going to eject pilot, so I can ignore this guy now. Okay, so I didn't press play to record the next round quick enough. So let's just do a replay. You can watch the last round and what happened. If you click on replay, you just click there. You could play through. You can see I'm trying to destroy everything before the reinforcements get there. Oh, slow-mo, yes. Oh, there's the ejected pilot there and that mech before. Little capture going out. Everyone's shooting everybody. And this guy, go back to plan. This guy has survived all of the shots. This guy is dead, so I just need to focus on him. And we should see reinforcements come somewhere there. Ah, great. All of the reinforcements. Alright, well, we'll leave it there. That should give you a good idea of the gameplay. I'm really enjoying it. It's a unique mechanism. All of the rounds are like this. You have different weapons, different kit layouts, and different mech layouts. And we'll talk about mech layouts in the next part. Okay, mech loadouts. This is a mission screen. But you can access the unit modification from here, so we will do that. You see I've got 4 mechs now, obviously, and you can edit them. So your primary weapons, you've got your level here, 2, 4, 3, whatever, and then you've got the stats. So I'm still not 100% sure of how this works, but I'm finding a big difference between ranked weapons, and not always in the way you would think. So weapons like this one here, as you can see to the right of what I've highlighted, you've got the AR2 burst, you've got its details, kinetic, concussion, impact, and then you have weapon modules. So for this one you have a concussive payload and a force enhancer 2. But I found like one of the starting weapons that I had, which was a shotgun, level 1, maybe it was a level 2, was far superior to anything else that I have come across yet. I'll show you that. So this shotgun here, yeah, it's a level 2. So its kinetic type is 514. Its impact is 1142. Still yet to come across a machine gun. So look, we'll go here, level 4 marksman. Obviously it's got greater range, but for this guy who runs up close with his shield up and then shoots mechs and tanks at close range with this shotgun, I'm still using the original shotgun that I found in the first mission. So it's important to pay close attention to what the weapons do, what their characteristics are, and it's the same for, so here's your primary, the top one, then you've got your secondary weapon, and then the rest of your torso, your legs, your arms, your left arm and your right arm. So this one here has an integrity, if we look to the right, of 538. We've got all the different characteristics like heat dissipation and generation and what its capacity is. And then you have the actual modules that are that come with this armor. Now, just because a blue is better than a green and a green is better than a grey doesn't necessarily mean they're better. So it's the same thing. You have to pay close attention to this. Now you've got medium, you've got heavy, and you've got light. Heavy having generally more integrity, lasting longer, can take more hits. Medium obviously being, heavy are really slow. Medium is somewhere in the middle, obviously, and light can't take many hits, but are really fast. You can really run up quite far into a map. Really good for close combat if you can get them to be quite stealthy and dodgy, or maybe even give them a shield. Obviously, the heavier you make your mech, the slower it is. But light mechs do have a place in this. Agility and flanking an enemy with a great big giant sword and then chopping him in half is good fun. Other modifications that you can do is painting your mech with each individual body part. If you want to do that, it gives it a uniqueness. I've color coordinated all mine into specific roles, made them very bright so I can quickly tell, because when you're zoomed out it's really hard to know which mech is which, because the detail kind of gets lost when you're that far out. So color coordinating them into different colors really helps me know which one I'm dealing with, as you can see there. Okay, let's talk about another thing, and let's talk about the overworld. Okay, here's your world map. As you can see, I've taken 3 zones. I've loaded a previous save, so I've actually captured a few others, but this is where I'm at in this save. And when you're in your own area, you can use your base to resupply Liquid Fix, which is this one down here. And Liquid Fix essentially allows you to repair damage on the move when you're in enemy territory. So these mechs here, down the bottom left, will take damage, and you will consume Liquid Fix to fix them. So when you're going into an enemy territory, let's do that now. As we're moving to recover Liquid Fix, you need to be on a resupply point. You can't just be running around your own territory. You actually need to go back to base. So these icons actually mean something, and you can see in the bottom right, it tells you what they do. Let's speed this up, and then you go in, and your radars or your scanner picks up targets of opportunity. Now, as you're going around here destroying enemy, this top right will build up a threat level, and the longer you're in and the more you kill, the higher that threat level gets. So you're getting to chase us back into mine. Run! So that's important. If you want that to go down, then you go out of the territory back into your own, and that'll slowly reduce. Once that gets to a certain level, the mechs that you come across and the encounters become more dangerous. Now, in the overworld, it's really important when you talk about your base upgrades to have things that will foil the enemy to prevent an attack. So you might be trying to charge across the map to get to a base, and then 2 patrols come against you. Having things like stun grenades, which you have to build and invest resources in, or radio jammers, really help you get to where you need to quickly without taking any damage and consuming Liquid Fix. Because when I first started playing, I was finding by the time I got to my objective, my mechs were half dead and I almost ran out of Liquid Fix, so it was hard to then move on to the second objective. I've started a second playthrough now, and I've invested in these things like smoke grenades and radio jammers, etc. And they are really worth it. So, for example, I'll stun the enemy, and now I can keep moving. They just stay there. It doesn't destroy them. They just essentially allows you to establish a clean break. To get your upgrades, up here in your menu, let's talk about that now. The green ones are ones that you have researched. As you can see, smoke charges, radio uplink allows me to call for reinforcements in an enemy territory. Scan jamming, comms jamming, these are all, I have found them, I didn't do this in my first run through. I have found them invaluable. Jeez, you think I'd learn how to speak Aussie. Alright, Unit Bay. The most important upgrade that you can get to begin with is to get 4 mechs. My first run through I tried to do with 2 mechs, and I was upgrading random shit up here. Optimized storage got me to 4 mechs, and was absolutely critical, because when I did my first run through I was trying to do everything with 2 mechs, and I was finding the game almost impossible. Regularly I would have to do missions 10 times over just to be successful. As soon as I got to 3 mechs, things got easier, and then when I got to 4 mechs, things became a lot easier. I'm now at a point where the mechs that I'm coming across are quite beefy, so it's definitely getting harder, and I'm scrounging for resources and body parts or mech parts to beef myself up, because I'm a little bit behind now. But that's 5 provinces in. If you can get to 4 mechs before you take over your first province, or sorry, the second province, the first one you get when you finish the tutorial in its totality, I strongly recommend go optimize storage first, build your mech bodies, which is in your workshop here, your body parts. So here we go. Strongly encourage you to then invest your resources into mech frames, and then your mech frame is what allows you to attach body parts to. So if I remove this from here, you can see here is your frame. And whilst you can do things in this, You don't have any armor, you don't have any abilities, you move terribly, so a mech frame is this, and then you add your, I guess, your spoils of war onto the frame. Whether you want it to be heavy, light, mixture, whatever. Okay, so that's how that works. So get 4 mechs, do it. I would go into pilots, I have in my first video. This is just their energy and their sanity. But to be honest, modifying pilots isn't really a big deal. Your options are limited. Okay, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. What do I think of the game overall? I think it's a good game. I've enjoyed it. It keeps me wanting to come back for more. The gameplay is repetitive, but it is repetitive in a good way. And whilst I'm still in the early games, the early part of the game, I've unlocked enough and experienced enough to know that I want to keep playing. And potentially even complete this game in its totality. And you can see the world map is pretty big. So whilst the underlying game mechanisms are repetitive, move, shoot, that's what all turn-based tactical games are. But there's enough in it that keeps it really enjoyable. I'd like to see more mech customization, because that is a big part of any mech game, making your mechs look sweet. I'd like pilot customization. Yeah, look, they could have done better there, but to be honest, it's not a big aspect of the game, so it's really meh for me. It doesn't bother me. And there are random events as you're moving around, like your pilots want to have a break or your pilots want to have a party, and there are consequences and rewards for each of these events to pop up. And to me, they could do a little bit better in that. It's not as apparent what happens. So one of the missions, random things, events popped up was, would you like to invest some money and your engineers will convert an item into something else? I was like, yes. And I invested, I don't know, 100 up here in the top right where my mouse is, 100 of them. And you wait 10 minutes in game. And it's like, yep, you're done. Oh yes, success, you've got some legendary awesome thing. But it doesn't show you what it is, and be fucked if I can find what this legendary item that they made. So, aspects like that could be a bit more polished and a bit more apparent. But overall, it doesn't detract from the game. It's just a quality of life thing. No, I've spent quite a bit of time trying to find things from events, and I have no idea where they are. Alright, so I hope this review has encouraged you either buy it or not buy it. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep playing it. And if you do buy it, I hope you enjoy it like I am. And I'll talk to you all in my next video.